What's up, everyone? So, I'm here at break. I'll skip kind of the introduction, but I've been writing some new poetry lately. And one of the things that I spoke a little bit to was ambition. And my throwback or flashback Friday, whatever you want to call it, um, took me back to a time where a young lady that I was dating at some point along the line had questioned my ambition. Now, she was a go-getter. She had, real real thoughts of grandeur as far as what she wanted to accomplish in life, and it was good to see. It was good to see that sort of energy. But then that turned, and at one point she questioned my ambition. So I had to sit on that one for a little bit, and as I thought about it, I thought, let me explain, because while the title of this is defining ambition, there really is no way to define ambition because it's different for each one of us. And I feel comfortable in saying that. And I'm sure there is like an actual definition by dictionary terms definition, but if we are looking really to be defining ambition, it's going to come in so many shapes and forms. Whereas one person wants to realize a high amount of success in a particular field of profession, another person is going to want to simply realize better health, things like that. So, my ambition at the time was completely different than what she viewed as ambition. And so, the reason I say that comfortably, and the reason I was able to um, navigate through that whole process was based off of my understanding, and she didn't understand necessarily what ambition was. She was definitely about chasing dollars and building a business and things like that, and that's all fine, but I had seen a lot of that because I had done a lot of that before, selling T-shirts, trying to kickstart a business, getting a buzz on social media, all that stuff. I had done that, and I had moderate success with it, and that was fine. And at the time that I was doing it, I didn't have the things in front of me that I currently had in front of me when I was dating. So I say all that to say what I gave her was the rundown as far as saying, you're questioning my ambition, but here's the deal. I had just gone through a split with my children's mother, and we were currently in family court. And so therefore my ambition at that time was to maintain a healthy relationship with my children. This was a course of action through the family court that I initiated because I was fighting for my children's, not necessarily their custody, but for their place to stay in the state. And I'm not going to get too far into that because that's a lesser point. But my ambition was to make sure that I was successful in that courtroom as a father. It's far different than selling T-shirts and trying to kickstart a business. Because of my split, I was also forced to start house hunting, something I'd never done before in my life. And for any of you who know about the house hunting procedure, it can be a little trying. And so I learned a lot about hunting for houses, the process, the things I didn't know, starting from even just finding the right realtor, the difference between a loan officer and broker, a mortgage officer, broker, all that stuff. I didn't realize there was differences between them. I really didn't realize the landscape of how credit was playing a part in the home that I could get. And that's yet another part to this is not only was it house hunting, but it was learning to build credit at the same time. So it was really um, doing two things at once, and on top of working and top of being a parent. So you can see kind of where my ambition was lining up a little bit differently than somebody who wanted to just kickstart a business and not have to necessarily go into the office every day. She just wanted to be able to check in on employees that she was going to have. With the house hunting, I'm sure a lot of you know that there's like 10 things. I always said that there's 10 things that I would have loved to have known going in. So things like putting down earnest money, the appraisal fees, closing costs. There's so many things that you don't really realize that when you know that you are going to go house hunting, you should have X amount of dollars already put away. And there are programs that can certainly help people, but there are just certain steps that you should know. Sorry about that. So my ambition was different. My ambition was to find a house for my children and for myself in wake of the split, which was also taking me through family court at the same time that I was house hunting, as I was building my credit, as I was working not one job but two jobs, sometimes multiple jobs, and being a parent on top of all of that. Ambitions are different. My ambition to succeed in that area was really driving me to make sure that I had come through this as unscathed as possible. We can't go through things like that without being unscathed, but it definitely should drive anybody to say, I want to do the best that I can in these moments and not allow it to fold you. Um, Jobs, I still am working graveyard, and that's a thing in itself. And then having a second job, I would think that somebody would say, hey, that's pretty ambitious of you to have two jobs, go from one job straight to another, things like that. But again, when it's not what aligns with what somebody else thinks is ambitious, then maybe they can be a little short-sighted in that, but maybe it's just a difference of opinion or difference in perspective or focus or things like that. So her going to school, her wanting to start a small business and stuff like that, that was great. But I don't know. I always sat back on that one and thought, wow, you really questioned and she knew what I was going through. So you sat back and, took all that in and then still saw fit to think that. So it was a little bothersome, and needless to say, we're not together. So a couple other things, say, and it was kind of a tale of the tape, and I really didn't want to get to that point, but to really exercise the point, it got to, you know, well, let me show you what ambition can do. My car is fully paid off. I'm in a home. I'm working my jobs. I, fought and won for, my children. How's that not ambitious? The savings that I have, and these are no flexes by any stretch of the imagination. This is just what I was doing in that moment. But I thought it was important to outline those sort of things. So when I spoke to those, I think, or I hope that it made a little clarity that I was not in debt. I own the things that I possess. My car, I'm not upside down in, which she had some issues with, and there's just a lot of things that I was like, I've accomplished a lot, and that should reflect what ambition is. But again, I was never in a position to try to turn back and say, you're not ambitious enough for, you know, not doing more for your daughter as far as getting child support from her father, or, things like that. There was a lot of places to go, but because we can define something like being ambitious differently, then I don't find it a place to be uh, judgmental. And that was where I had a little bit of pushback, because it's like, well, if you know somebody and you know what they've gone through, then how do you really try to define ambition for them? I thought it was interesting, so I thought I would speak to it. And as I kind of spoke to that through the poetry, it got me thinking a little bit more about that. And I don't know if I actually have the lyrics that I wrote, but I don't know. actually my first live. So thank you to the one person watching right now. I don't know if any more people will watch at any given point in time, but um, I believe that there's a comment section. So if there is something that you can impart, I always say, an ace up the sleeve. Do you have an ace up the sleeve? Advice, comment, experience. What can you impart into the chat that I can possibly learn from as far as defining ambition? Do we define it in somebody else, or do we define it just within ourselves? How does that work? How do you feel that that works? Um, and constructive commentary is always helpful. And is there some place that did I overstep by comparing my life to hers by saying, look, I have these things in line. These are things that you're still lacking. Was that too harsh of a response? I wasn't mean when I said it, but I really did have to outline that sort of thing to say, hey, you're kind of short-sighting the things that I strive for. Here's the other thing. Once I had gotten to all of those places, this is a big one, and I think it gets overlooked. My ambition in life now is just to have peace. I feel like I've slayed most, if not all, of my foreseeable dragons. And I even told my ex this, the mother of my children. We get along great now. But I had told her, you're the last dragon. You are my last dragon to slay. And us getting along now brings peace to my life. You get to a point in life where you don't have the runaround, you don't have a lot of riffraff friends, and it's no judgment because I was a riffraff friend to some other people as well. You don't have a lot of things. You really settle in, and you just want peace. Um, and going into that sort of area in life, it really does, it really does enhance one's life. So ambition can be in so many different ways, but my ambition now is just to have peace, positive, energy, good people around me, a small circle of people around me that I can trust, that trust me in return, that the people around me are in good health. And by health, I do mean total health, mind, body, and soul. You'll hear me say it all the time if you're not familiar. Um, but the same thing that I'm kind of talking about now is really what I put into the poetry, and I really haven't. I'm still in the middle of writing it. So the little bit that I have is my ambition was questioned because I was not chasing the dollar, building a business and all of that. And they were right. I guess I was too busy for entering in and entering each egocentric entrepreneur talking their financial fiction to be their interpretation of ambitious. I was working multiple jobs, raising my credit, buying a house, allowing my savings be the place where my investments are slaving. A father who took it to family court, won the case, then homeschooled every day during COVID and did it all without caving. So someone please tell me just what were they saying? So that's a little bit of it. Um, I guess I'm back to no watchers now. That's okay too. But thanks to the two people that were watching. That's just kind of where I'm at with that. Ambition can come in the form of so many things, and it's hard to often see what other people are talking about when it comes to their ambitions unless they are truly sharing. And I don't know if we got to that point, but I always did just share that, peace is just something that I'm at. Peace is something that I want. Peace is something that I would just wish for anybody. Just being able to say, I really appreciate the things that I've overcome, the places that I've been, the lessons that I've learned, and to continue learning those things. That itself is an ambition to just say I want to be the best person that I can possibly be. That it doesn't have to come down to a financial sort of drive, because while money is important for some levels of sustainment, I don't chase it to the point where um, monetary items and superficial needs have to be continually fulfilled. And again, it's no judgment for people who want those things. Some people, we all are just a walking result of all of our experiences and things that we've survived, and as far as trauma and learned educations, learned processes from other people. All of that stuff, confirmed biases. This is who we are. It's all pressed together, and this is who we are. So a lot of people are going to feel that being about money is more important because they may have grown up more impoverished, and so there's that need to feel that you are always going to be secure, that you will know where your next meal is coming from, or that you will know that you won't be in a car that can just break down at any moment, or that you even just have a car. So again, ace up the sleeve, what are your thoughts on this level of ambition recognition? Is it a judgment? Is it something that I keep going out? Is it something that we should push back? Do we just take it in stride? Again, I'm sure on some levels we've had this conversation. I'm sure you've had this conversation. Be it your parents telling you, you should go out, get a job, live up to your potential? Was it a coach saying, you need to work harder, if you want to make that starting position, or if you want to make the team? Was it a professor saying that this is not your best work, we know that you can do better, you just have to dig down, do it? Is it a relationship where somebody questioning, saying, look, I'm getting ready to graduate and you're still working, in the, just doing whatever, and are we going to have more money? Are we going to have enough to raise our kids? Are we going to have, all of those things? It questions ambition. Have you just looked at yourself and said, I am in terrible shape, why can I not get myself motivated in order to be a better person as far as my health, or as far as looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I just need to do better in life, I need better friends, I need better results out of life? Have you questioned your own ambition at times, and then what did you do about it? I think I'm gonna cut this pretty short, leave it there. I feel like I did cover the topics that I wanted to, as far as the story with the woman that I was dating, or questioning my ambition. I didn't want to put too much of her stuff out there because it's not to blast anybody. It was just a setup to talk about really defining ambition and where we can go with that, and be able just to say, it's okay not to always be. You can't always be at the top of the mountain. There has to be a climb to the top of the mountain. And even if you can get a helicopter ride to the top of the mountain, it didn't show ambition to get to the top of the mountain. The ambition would be that you would climb the mountain, that you go through the process. That now somebody might push back and say, "Well, if you earned your way to have a helicopter to fly there, you must have been pretty ambitious." That's true too, but you know what I'm saying. Sometimes it's more about the journey than the destination. So I would love to hear some feedback. Constructive contributions to the chats are always appreciated. And if you have any examples, if you have again an ace up the sleeve, that would be fantastic as well. So all in all, it's a beautiful day. Every day is a beautiful day, and I hope this finds everybody in a good place to where you can say, hey, maybe there's some points to that, and maybe the next time somebody questions my ambition, potential, any synonyms like that, any words that are akin to that, that you'll have a thought that maybe your ambition is different than what they are wanting for you. And I'm sure that's a lot of people would understand this, as far as parents wanting you to go to college and you didn't want to go to college, and it's like they're saying you got to go to school, get a good job so you can earn money, and you're like, no, I want to go surf, or that's not what I want to do, or because grandpa and dad were both, police officers, doesn't mean I have to be a police officer too, or anything along those lines. Just knowing, what is it that you really want, what are you pursuing, what makes you happy, what's going to make you successful. And again, successful, I don't mean financially set, it doesn't mean that you have a better position at your job. What do you want in life that's going to really bring you fulfillment? And I guess I should kind of put a caveat on that. That's not to the detriment of other people, because we don't want to just run around hurting people saying it makes me feel good. That's not the place to be. But what is it that you really want? Because that's really your answer to somebody who may question any of those things. That you have a full, well thought out, and respectful answer, respectful for yourself, respectful for the people that you're answering to, that this is just not what I want, and have a plan along with it. Sometimes we don't always have a plan, but try to have a plan with that. When you sit with yourself, have that, that in that talk with yourself to say, this is what I want, and this is what makes me happy, this is what I feel is going to make me feel fulfilled, this is what's going to make me feel successful. And it may differ from what other people envision for you, and that's okay as well, because you only are the only one living your life. They can't live your life for you. And while they may think that they are imparting the best for you, and they do have best intentions, it still doesn't mean that you have to follow their path. If they see that or find that as a viable option in life, or a viable way to make money, then perhaps they should pursue it. And again, that's just respectfully said. If they see it for you, that's great. And we all envision something for one another, but um, I think that it's more important that we live our own individual lives, and with the help of people, certainly they can support us and support our personal ambitions, and be able to go from there. So, um, I think it's about time for me to get back to work. Again, I appreciate the two people who were watching for those few minutes, and hopefully many others will get to the end of this. But in the meantime, I will sign out. And again, I hope this finds everybody in a place, your pursuits, or the beginnings of your journey for total health, mind, body, and soul. And we'll see you soon. Peace, love, unity, solidarity. One last note: if you haven't, subscriptions are free and appreciated. Now, how do I stop? No, well, no, not that either. How about this?